This is a special report from About Space Today.
2 American space heroes have died. I'm David Denault. In the past 2 weeks, astronauts Tom K. Mattingly and Frank Borman have passed away. Now, this is also a personal loss, as I remember a number of times being with both of these American heroes, from being at their rollouts of their moon rockets to their launches and their adventures in our space program. On October 31st, Thomas Ken Mattingly, or TK, died at the age of 87. He served as a member of the support crew for the Apollo 8 and 11 missions and was designated as the command module pilot for Apollo 13, but was removed from the flight status 72 hours prior to the scheduled launch due to exposure to the German measles. He later guided the Apollo 16 crew to the moon in 1972. Now, I had the privilege of helping name a planetarium in his honor at his Miami Springs High School. And during that dedication, Ken, or TK, talked about the planetarium.
I think the idea of the planetarium is probably one of the best things to help people understand just how big the world and the universe is and how small our little piece of the world really turns out to be. I don't think of it as being related to space studies in particular or science in particular, but just to help people understand the perspective of my role in this great big universe and what it all means, and just to appreciate what's around them.
And my wife Judy and I also enjoyed time with him for dinner during a visit to the Cape. And I can say TK was a down-to-earth guy and had a great sense of humor. Among his many accolades was the Ambassador of Space Exploration Award, where he received an encased moon rock.
Chris told you he's like me. He's pretty old. But there is a difference. This guy defined the expression older than dirt. I'm just old as dirt.
Thomas T.K. Mattingly, I will miss you, my friend. Astronaut Frank Borman, commander of Apollo 8, the first manned crew to orbit the moon, died November the 7th at age 95.
Frank Borman was born on March 14, 1928 in Gary, Indiana. He began to fly at the age of 15 and graduated from the United States Military Academy in 1950. In the same year, he married Susan Bugby, and they have 2 children together. After, he entered the United States Air Force and became a fighter pilot on the 44th Fighter Bomber Squadron in the Philippines for 5 years. Borman received his Master of Science degree in Aeronautical Engineering from the California Institute of Technology, as well as earning a degree from the Harvard Business School's Advanced Management Program. By 1957, Borman became an assistant professor of thermodynamics and fluid dynamics at West Point, and acted as an experimental test pilot for the United States Air Force Aerospace Research Pilot School. In 1962, Borman was selected by NASA to be a potential astronaut candidate. He was sent with Jim Lovell in Gemini 7 to make the first space rendezvous with Gemini 6A. Later, he was chosen to be one of the first men to orbit the moon in the Apollo 8 mission. After the mission, Borman became Deputy Director of Flight Crew Operations for NASA. In 1969, he became Special Advisor to Eastern Airlines and was made Senior Vice President, Operations Group to the company, and later became Chairman of the Board in 1976. He has received many awards, including the Congressional Space Medal of Honor, the Harmon International Aviation Trophy, and more. Frank Borman spent his life and education dedicated to the complexities of space and engineering.
Apollo 8 not only made history, but became famous for their Christmas Eve telecast of 1968. It would be the most widely watched TV broadcast in history that was coming from lunar orbit.
We are now approaching lunar sunrise, and for all the people back on Earth, the crew of Apollo 8 has a message that we would like to send to you. In the beginning, the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness.
And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night, and the evening and the morning was the first day. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters. Let it divide the waters from the waters." And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament. And it was so. And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning was the second day.
God said, "Let the waters under the heaven be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear." And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas. And God saw that it was good. And from the crew of Apollo 8, we close with good night, good luck, a Merry Christmas, and God bless all of you on the good earth.
These two space pioneers, like those who have gone before, exemplify man's best. The next generation have their sights set on a lunar base and then onto Mars. And we wish all Godspeed. I'm David Denault.
This has been a special report from About Space Today.